Hello, fellow humans. All right, so this was a spontaneous idea for me to just come on here and perhaps answer any questions people might have. My live streams don't get a lot of people these days, so I don't know. We'll see if anybody shows up. But if they do, and they want to ask questions, I will answer them. So just to let you know, well, I'll wait till people get here. I tend not to do live stream question and answers anymore because people tend to ask dumb questions. So I don't like it when I get frustrated. Anyway, I'm looking for something and I'm not finding it. That's why I'm... let's see, is that it? All right, we'll just leave everything alone for now. Okay, so what are we talking about today? We are talking about how Mao Shan Energy work can shift humans to 5D. So I am going to, I guess, just start talking about how I came to this idea, Mao Shan Energy work being one of the tools that can be used to shift the world into 5D. So I started practicing this more than half of my life ago. I think I was 28 when I found it. And what I was looking for was a martial art, what I called a spiritual martial art. And what that was about is I wanted to be able to defend myself without having to engage in real violence and harming somebody. And the reason for that was that because of how I grew up, I had a very intense temper. Now I hadn't been in a fist fight since I was in junior high school. And the reason for that was a couple of reasons. Is what used to happen, I was the shortest kid in school, and so I got picked on. I had this older brother that was 5 years older than me that used to just terrorize me. So I had a lot of PTSD. And what would happen is I would beat up kids twice my size, but what was really frightening was I would black out. The pushing and the shoving would start, and I would black out, and then I'd come to, and I'd have, like red marks on my fist, and there'd be some kid on the ground, bruised and bloody, and I'd have to ask what happened. And people had said, you went crazy on him. I even asked a kid once, I said, what happened? And he had to explain to me that I punched him in the face. And that's when I was a little kid. So I got involved in drugs and alcohol throughout high school, so that kept me from losing my temper. But when I quit, I had this temper. And I was in Hollywood. I had a theater company in Hollywood that I co-founded. And so that part of Hollywood back then, we're talking La Brea and Hollywood Boulevard, was not a great area. And as I was walking down from the theater to go down and get some food, down at the corner, I got surrounded by about 5 or 6 pretty serious, nasty looking gang members. And they were surrounding me. And that's when we used to wear the little butt bags, we'd wear them around our waist. And this guy was saying, give me $1, give me $1. And I knew if I took my wallet out, everything was going to be gone. And I said, I'm not giving you anything. And things started getting, these guys are surrounding me, things are getting pretty tense. And what I wanted to say to him was, come on, man, don't hurt me. That's what I thought I was going to say. And what happened is that I locked eyes with him and I said, come on, man. And something came forward in me that, that I wasn't aware that I possessed. Anyway, it scared him so bad that he left me alone. That happened a couple of times, and it was so frightening to me. The thought of losing it as an adult as opposed to a little kid, I knew that, I possibly might seriously injure, if not kill somebody, and maybe end up in prison or dead or who knows what. So I'm looking for a martial art that I can use where I don't have to get violent. So it wasn't that I didn't know how to fight, I just didn't want to go down that road. And I started looking into, this was way back in the like 1990. So MMA hadn't even really blossomed into what it is now. So I started looking, I thought maybe Wing Chun or Aikido. As I was talking to one of my friends, I was doing a temp job. This guy turns around, this Native American guy, hair down to his butt, 6 feet tall. And he says, you looking to do a martial art? And I said, yeah. And he says, here. And he writes down an address. He says, come to this on this day. And I said, what is it? He says, don't worry. And I said, just try to explain it to me. He says, I can't. You wouldn't understand it. So I show up, and there are this like 6 foot tall Native American guy, and then there was this little Japanese guy. He was about 5, I want to say like 5'6" or 5'7", and they were doing this weird little dance, and I tried not to laugh, and I was all big from lifting a lot of weights. And anyway, by the end of that class, I knew that this was what I wanted. And he, as you've seen in some of the videos, this guy barely tapped me. And he just tapped me on the chest. He did that 3 times, and the energy that exploded inside of me was, I'd never felt anything like it. And I saw how fast he was, and just the power that he had with no effort on his part. And I realized that if that guy wanted to take me out, there was literally nothing I could do to stop him. Even though I could pick him up and toss him across the room, I wouldn't have been able to stop this guy if he wanted to take me out. So I went home, and I did the first of the 10 weapons hands. So I've put a video of that on the Mao Shan Level 1, which I recommend if you've done the Mao Shan 5-element spirit fighting sets, like this one. If you've done those sets, I encourage you. Now, if you haven't done all 5 of them, don't subscribe because you're not ready for it. Get all 5 of the element sets and then subscribe. But if you have, subscribe here to Mao Shan Level 1 instructional videos. I teach you about the 10 weapons hands. So I was doing the weapon hand number 1, and the amount of energy that went through me was, I had never felt it before. I know what it is now because I've been doing interdimensional meditation and communicating directly with higher dimensional beings. So what had happened is that there was an interdimensional being there in the room with me. Of course, I couldn't see it. And when I went into that posture, obviously that being had added some energy so I could feel the power of it. It was incredibly blissful. It was exactly what happens in our interdimensional meditations. And it shocked me, and it frightened me. I had just come out of Christianity a couple of years earlier, and in Christianity you're told any spirit that doesn't confess Jesus is of the devil, no matter how beautiful it is, which is complete nonsense, of course. But that's where I had come from, even though I had left it, that was still in my brain. And then as I'm feeling this energy shoot through me and I become aware on my left side there's a being, I see in my mind a nuclear bomb go off. And the message is, this is the power you are tapping into. And then it says, you have been chosen to learn this. And then I get the message, and if you abuse this power, it will be taken away from you. And then whoosh, the being left. And so I'm telling you that because in hindsight, I'm looking back on what this is. So the reason is, why was I chosen? Nobody else that I trained with, even my teachers, weren't told that. And it doesn't mean that they weren't masters at what they did. But the question is, why would this being say this to me? You've been chosen to learn this. And I had a lot of experiences afterwards. I actually had an out-of-body experience after mastering the fire set. I just practiced it over and over and over and over and over and over until all this energy started, again, in my heart, right? What is the heart? It's the Shen, it's the heart mind. All that energy started just really piling up, and I went into meditation and I came out of my body, and there was a being there that tried to speak to me, but since nobody had told me what the heck was going on, it scared the crap out of me, and I woke back up into my body and I didn't know what to do. I wish somebody had explained to me what that meant. Now I know what that was. This is when you open up the Shen, the heart mind energy, the lightning energy of the heart. With these exercises, you open up portals to higher dimensions, and then you can interact with these beings. There's a reason why I have the ability in these guided meditations to be able to take people that haven't experienced this to other realms and feel the energy. There's a reason why when I channel the light beings, that the people who get the channelings, the energy actually comes to them and they have very powerful experiences, even if they have done interdimensional meditation. It's because of all of the empowering that I've done to this, what we call I'm now calling it the heart Stargate. That's been powered up for decades now. So, and then after working directly with extraterrestrials for the past 3 years, it's now been shown to me, what I'm doing here, what my job is. And so one of the things that I'm here to do is to give people tools to be able to bring this, what we want to call 5D Earth, and shift this Earth. So my thoughts about that have changed. My thoughts about how this 5D is going to come about has changed. As you know, 3 years ago, I thought that what was going to happen was that there was going to be an external solar flash event that was going to hit the Earth and it was going to shift everybody up, or it was going to split the world in two and people would, have to jump on one or the other. And I don't believe that it's going to be an external event. That doesn't mean it won't have the same experience. I just don't think that if we sit around on our ass waiting for something to happen, that it's going to happen. I don't think that's how it's going to work. I do believe that we have the ability to, however, shift that. So those of us who do this, I remember saying this 20 years ago, maybe even more. I remember saying, and more like I heard it come out of my mouth. I was telling somebody that the people who do these Mao Shan practices, when they leave this world, they're going to be guardian angels. They're going to, be protector spirits. And I didn't really know where that came from. It just sort of came out of my mouth. But it's absolutely 100% accurate. So if you've been called to do this, it means that you have a destiny to be one of the beings who is going to help repel, if you want to call it evil, if you want to call it lower frequencies, lower dimensions, the third dimension, you can call it whatever you want. If you've been called to do this, it means that you have a destiny to be a conduit to release this energy onto the world. And so my goal when I'm doing these things is to overwhelm the third dimension with so much higher dimensional energy that it has to shift. So, this is, and to now bring the thing full circle, this is this art, these practices aren't 2,000 years old. But what the practices are doing is they are tapping into the science of the 2,000-year-old practices that open up the heart stargate. And those would take years. So if 2,000 years ago, you were learning the Mao Shan meditation practices, it would take you decades of daily meditation for hours. You'd have to visualize things and meditate and eat certain things and write foods on rice paper and eat it under certain. You had to follow all these rules that would take a very long time. And we get to do it instantaneously. It's because the world is different now. This has evolved to the point where this is now something we can use to change the world. And what I'm saying is that the light beings who channel this information, because again, if you do any research on the Mao Shan, you'll find out that the first practitioners, they were given the knowledge from higher dimensional beings that would come and visit them. So higher dimensional beings would come and visit them and teach them how to do this. And that's how they learned it. And so to call something Mao Shan means that you are actively working with higher dimensional beings and continuing to learn more and more and more. And so that's where we're at now. The evolution of this practice has come to the point where what I'm saying is that 2,000 years ago, the light beings had already been planning for now. And they even prophesied. They prophesied that this time would come and that there would be people who would help to bring a new earth and there would be a time of peace. And when you look at those, and they said it was almost identical to what the Vedics say about the end of Kali Yuga, and how it's a cyclical shift. They were saying the same things. They didn't have the word karma, but they said the same thing, that it was that a long time ago, I'm going to guess 13,000 years ago, human beings didn't even need to eat or drink. They had the ability to nourish themselves with breath and with sunlight. And they were absorbing the original life force energy, the primordial life force energy. And what made human beings lose the ability to do that was they started acting unconsciously, destructively. We would call them, they started acting in ways that put karma on them. Now, the Chinese talked about it differently, but it was the same thing. So we are at that place now where all of these civilizations, they all have different prophecies, even the ones that are wrong about messiahs, about avatars, about human beings awakening and the world shifting. We're in that spot right now. And, I believe that this practice is something that has been given to us and has been evolving over 2,000 years so that we would have the most powerful, direct way to open up this dormant stargate within us. All right, so I babbled long enough. I am going to take questions, but before I take questions, just let me say this. Before you ask a question, I want you to tell me what practices you are doing from my channel. Anybody can ask a question, but if you're just somebody that's shown up and you've watched some videos and you haven't done any practices, it's very likely you're going to ask questions that are going to bother me. I'm not telling you not to ask them, just be aware. When you ask a question, know what a question is. A question is not to write a statement and then put a question mark at the end of it. I don't respond well to those kinds of passive-aggressive. A question isn't, what are your thoughts on, and then you give some subject and you want me to talk. A question is very simple. A question is, you want to know something specific and particular, and you don't know the answer to it, and you want to know what I think about it. What is, you think I might have the answer, I might not. But that's a question. Asking me to tell you what I think about another teacher's teaching is not a question. It's really it's very, anyway, if you do it, you'll find out. I'll let you know how much it bothers me. So if you have a question, have a specific question and learn how to write in full sentences. Don't think that I like trying to figure out your phone texting gibberish. Have respect for your question and I will answer it. All right. Also tell me, as I said, tell me what practices you've done. Because I want to answer those people who are actually doing the practices first. All right, let's see if there are any questions here. Dark Repto Jedi. Okay. So he's enjoying himself. That's not a question. Okay. Okay. Fisher Life. Question. So Fisher Life, I already know you have not done the 5-element. You haven't bought the 5-element spirit fighting videos. Now you probably didn't mean anything disrespectful, but when you went in and you tried to learn those, or did you? You got the wood set. I get that wrong. You've got the wood set. So look, my friend, you got in through the back door. I didn't stop you. But the idea was that you should have gotten all 5 of the spirit fighting element sets before you started trying to follow along in the class. Okay? So I'll leave it there. But as you saw, I got perturbed at you for that. Because number one, you're not going to learn by going to the private class without having learned all of it. Okay, so I just want to get that out of the way before I answer your question. So I encourage you to do that as soon as you can. Get all of the 5-element, the actual 5-element teaching videos so that you can learn it properly. All right, question. How can I help effectively guide this energy to shift to 5D? Do I need to relax my expectations, shift my actions? I'm asking because I want to shift from a renter to someone with abundance. What does that have to do with 5D? I mean, I don't understand. 5D has nothing to do with money. You realize when we get to 5D, there's not going to be any money. There's not going to be any banks. So you're talking about shifting to 5D, and then you talk about wanting, there's nothing wrong with any of that. You're conflating so many different things. But the bottom line is, just relax. I mean, let's look at all the questions you asked. How can I shift to 5D? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? I'm asking because I want to have money and I want to have abundance and I want... Right there. First thing is just stop and relax. Just do the practices and connect with the energy. This is what I'm trying to say. These practices will tap you into the energy. Trying to get it perfect is going to make it harder. Maybe you've heard this, but this is from old karate, but some karate student goes to his master and he says, I want to become a black belt. How long will it take for me to become a black belt if I practice 1 hour every day? And the sensei goes, if you practice 1 hour every day, it'll take you 10 years. He goes, oh my, that's way too long. He says, okay, what happens if I practice 2 hours every day? And the sensei goes, if you practice 2 hours every day, it's going to take you 20 years. Just stay in the moment. Stop trying so hard. Okay, I know what Dark Repto, I know you do that. You've got the 5 elements. I already know that about you. So I don't see a question. But yes, I already know that about you. Okay, no other questions, huh? Do I need to how many people are here? We got 10 people watching. So, here we go. Silly question. I haven't looked at it, but why do you want to ask a silly question? How does that benefit you? Can the Mao Shan 5 elements also be intended to invite the Dark Warrior deity, especially while doing the mini CE5? Can it also be intended? So you're talking about the Dark Warrior of the North. So Dark Warrior doesn't mean evil. It doesn't mean dark. That's not what it means. It means mysterious, but he is an entity that has the mastery, the grand mastery of yin and yang. So every time you do the Sifu hands, you are tapping into his power. So, as I said, there's a Dark Warrior of the North, the tortoise and the snake. He's also known as the tortoise and the snake because he represents that. The tortoise represents earth and the snake represents yang. So the tortoise represents yin and the snake represents yang. And so you can imagine that. So if you want to, you can face the north and you can bring to mind a picture of a tortoise with a snake on it, like on his back, and you can ask for his blessing and for his guidance. And he will come and he will, I know because I've done it. Now there's a specific movement that I believe is tracing the Chinese calligraphy letter of his name. And I'm not going to teach that right away. So if somebody really, the people that really dedicate themselves to this, and I see that, and they've worked through a lot of sets and worked with me, I will teach them exactly how to do that. But things like that aren't things that you just throw out to people. And people usually don't learn if you give them things for nothing. So, but to answer your question, you can go ahead and call out to him. His name in Chinese, they call him Xuan Wu. I'll write it down. Xuan Wu. You can go look him up. So you can call him that, or you can, call him Dark Warrior of the North, or you can call him Tortoise and Snake. Ganunga Greg, I do the 5 elements. Yes, I know that about you. Question. When doing the standing wood posture, can I touch the middle and ring fingers together? Yeah. That is one of the ways that you empower that. Did I not teach that? But the answer is yes. So Dark Repto Jedi, I think you're conflating Dark Lord here. So you say, I've already embraced my role as an avatar of the Dark Lord, and the word dark no longer bothers me. Yeah, well, I'm happy for that. That's not what this means. So just to let you know, he's not the Dark Lord of the War of the North the same way like Rahu is a Dark Lord. That's not why he's called that. But I'm glad that it doesn't bother you. It shouldn't. Fisher Life, I don't understand what that is. You didn't ask a question. I don't understand. If you have a specific question about how to accomplish something, I'll be happy to answer it. But that wasn't it. So, look, Fisher Life, relax. Accept yourself. One of the problems that I know about you is that you have a very overactive intellect, and you are very judgmental and perfectionist about yourself. So, what have I taught? Number one, Fisher Life, have you read my book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life? If you haven't, go buy it and read it. Because that will teach you how to get the things you want out of life. You think that you need to do something in order to be worthy of things. And that's not how it works. The only thing you have to do is know what you want, what your soul wants. And then you have to be willing to take actions to go get it. We've talked about this before, where you've talked about you don't have any money because you don't have a job. And I understand some of the challenges you have surrounding that, but there was something you said, since we're doing this, and you say you want to learn the 5 elements. One of the things about the Mao Shan is you have to be willing to be ruthlessly honest. So you can't get away with lying to the universe. You can't get away with conning the universe. So you said something about how jobs, that you made mistakes on jobs, which we all do. But then you said something about you didn't feel encouraged to do better. And, I didn't say anything when I read that comment, but it was, that is not the attitude of somebody. According to you, you bring the attitude like you're willing to do whatever it takes. But yet when something is challenging and you don't feel encouraged to do something, you don't want to do it. Now, nobody likes to do things they don't like to do. But in order to have the things that you want, you're probably going to have to do some things that you don't like getting a job and earning money. You say you want to become a renter, all that stuff. That takes money, right? So one of the things you can do by practicing the Mao Shan is ask the energy to give you the ability to become more self-accepting. That will give you the power to be more patient, and that will also give you the power to be more disciplined, so that you're not constantly always doing whatever impulse is flying through you. And being willing to take a look at yourself, and not judge yourself, but look at yourself and go, oh, I could shift this, I could change that, and here's some things I've been doing that haven't been helpful. So maybe that'll help you. Okay. Well, I'm happy to hear that, Dark Repto. That's not a question. Poppy. So, Poppy, before I answer your question, I think you're kind of saying this. Where is the best place to start with all of this as a beginner? I am so glad you asked. That was a great question. I've been talking about this on a lot of videos. So I'm going to answer your question. So log it in there, take some notes, come back and watch this, and we'll see how serious you are. Because if you're serious, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this as a beginner. All right, so let's see here. Where is it? As a beginner, look at that. Beginners. 90-day warrior lightning qigong. How do you do that? You go here to this website, thunderwizard.com. When you go there, you're going to click on memberships. When you click on memberships, you will see this. If you scroll down, you see Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. You will click on that, you will join. And then you will follow the practices. I give you practices that will get your body prepared for the power you are going to receive later. And it is a combination of Kundalini Yoga, Qigong, and some of the Mao Shan energies, and they all work together, and other things. So it's very simple. You just follow the directions, and there's 3 phases. And don't leave before you get to phase 3, because phase 3 is one of the first real Mao Shan spirit fighting practices. Okay, so that's what you do as a beginner. You go to and sign up for the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. Let's see, where's the beginner? It's up here somewhere. Okay, so the small quantum butterfly hands, you can get that. Again, that's part of the 90-day. You can get the Awakening the Immortals Qigong. You can do that right away. That is going to be in the shop. So again, you go to thunderwizard.com, and instead of clicking on memberships to get the Summoning the Immortals, you click on the shop, and this will come up. And then you see that Mao Shan Summoning the Immortals. You see that? I would get that. So those are the first 2 things I recommend. That you do the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. And while you're doing that, at the same time, if you want to, you can be doing the Summoning the Immortals. Now, if you look next to the Summoning the Immortals, you will see Celestial Qigong. That is like plugging yourself right into the energy. People have gotten confused when I say this. So the Celestial Qigong came as a result of me reverse engineering the spirit fighting, because I was trying to figure out the power that comes from these practices. There's nothing else in Taoism that is anything like it. Taoist practitioners, all of them have said the same thing when they do it. They go, I've never felt anything like this. So I was trying to figure out what the postures were, the hand movements, the hand placements. And I didn't realize it, but what I did was I discovered exactly how to go right to this Stargate in the heart and activate it. So the Celestial Qigong, I didn't put it in the list here, but those are the 3 things that I would do. As a beginner, I would do the Lightning Qigong, subscribe to that. I would get the Summoning the Immortals Qigong, and I would get the Celestial Qigong. You don't have to do all those, it's a lot of stuff, but those are the 3 things that will give you the power, that will connect you directly to the power so that you'll flip that switch on. The next thing that you're going to want to do is continue to do the interdimensional meditation, the free meditations we have. And then when you've done that for a while, you can jump to the intermediates. That's the 5-element spirit fighting sets. Those can be found at the shop at thunderwizard.com or at maoshan.thunderwizard.com. This is crucial for people who are serious. Now, there's plenty of people out there, if they do what I just said, they'll be fine for the rest of their life. They will have access to this energy. They will be able to open the portal. You got nothing to worry about. If you're serious about it and you start getting like a Jones for this energy and you want to do what I did and get so much power that you're able to leave your body, that you're able to bend space and time and do all kinds of crazy stuff and, meditate deeper than you ever thought possible, and eventually leave your body, have out-of-body experiences, then you're going to want to go and do the 5-element spirit fighting sets. And the first set, butterfly hands, if you're already an intermediate, that is there. That's free with the purchase of the spirit fighting first set. So here's how it works. You learn the 5 elements, and once you've got some mastery of those, then you go up to this first spirit fighting set, the Hands of Infinity. And you practice that. And then everything beyond that will be advanced. So when you get to that point, then I would focus on, I'm going to upload these later, the quantum butterfly, like not the quantum butterfly in phase 3, a much larger version of it. And I'm also going to upload the level 1 for the Dark Warrior of the North set. Now that's a different kind of a set, but it's very powerful. And so those are things that I would do at the intermediate level. The advanced level is going to be the second set and the third set and the Spirit Fist set. And we haven't got to those yet. Some of you might be ready for that, but anyway, it'll take me a while to upload that. So there's my answer for you, what to do if you're a beginner. If you didn't get all that, this video will be archived. You can come back and watch it and take notes and follow through. Okay, so show me how serious you are now that you have all of the directions. So Poppy, you say you're transitioning to a new job and you don't have the finances to start a membership. I have to ask you, are you seriously telling me that you don't have $55? Because that's all that it would cost you. I have to point this out because the level of poverty-mindedness on my channel is it's at a pandemic level. If you said, I don't have the money to get the 5 elements, those cost like $250 a piece. Okay, I would, you're in between jobs. But I know you spend that much money on stuff like cell phones and who knows what else. And all you have to do, you can scrimp and save a little bit. So being in between jobs sounds like you're going to get a job next week. So when you say you're in between jobs, does that mean you've been out of a job for a year? I don't know what that means. So if you guys are serious about this, I encourage all of you not to allow yourself to give yourself excuses for not having the things that you want. It's a travesty to you. And I'm just telling you, I've never lived this way. I have never allowed that. When I want something, I determine in my mind that I'm going to get it, even if I don't know how or have the means. So if you want to be a spirit fighter, there's a thing called facing the door, which means that you completely commit to whatever direction you're at. Poppy, you're not doing that. You're giving yourself excuses to not have what you want. The assumption behind what you're saying, and I hope this is landing on you well. I hope you're not getting defensive and getting your feelings hurt. But the assumption behind what you're saying is that you are a victim of circumstance. Instead, the thing to do is, oh my God, this is really great. I'm definitely going to get it. And I am going to figure out a way. I'm committed to find a way to get the income to get what I want. But you should never come to a teacher, ever. This is something modern people don't know. Should never come to a teacher and give excuses. They will stop teaching you. A real teacher will stop teaching you. Just to give you an example of what it was like. Again, I mean, maybe it's like this with MMA, I don't know, but martial arts, when I was a kid, this is what happened. You went to go see the Sifu, and you didn't go in and say to him, hey, Sifu, I kind of want to learn this and that, and can you teach me? You don't talk like that. He would say, thank you, there's the door. You would never mention another class or another practice. And so that's why I get so upset when you guys ask me, what do you think of so-and-so, when you want to ask me what I think of another teacher. It's very rude, because the teacher is sitting right in front of you, and you're asking me about some other teacher. You want to know about some other teacher? Go and ask them. Don't ask me. Right? It's very rude. And it means the message that you're giving is that you won't be able to be taught when you act like that. So when you walked into the Sifu, into the studio with the Sifu, you just showed up. You said, I'm here to learn. And he would do things like, okay, go stand in the corner on one foot. And if you said, for how long, he'd say, I'm sorry, I can't teach you. There's the door. If you said, why, he would say, I'm sorry, I can't teach you. There's the door. Because part of learning is being in a state of mystery, of being uncomfortable. Now I've just chastised 2 people now who can't tolerate being uncomfortable, taking action that is contrary to their fears and their comfort level. So this is about learning. So if you want to learn, never give teachers excuses. And don't give excuses to the universe either. The light beings won't respond to people who make excuses. Okay? So, there's some free, and neither of you guys are my student, but there's some free knowledge. So Poppy, the same thing for you. If you want to learn how to get what you want, go onto Amazon.com and get my book. I'll write it down here for you. It's the most valuable book out there, and it's not even a book, it's a booklet. And if you read this book and follow the directions, I guarantee you things will change for you. Okay, there's, it's by me, Michael Denny, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. Read that book, study it, and follow it. If you do, you can do what I'm talking about. The big thing here, the reason why that you and whoever else I was talking to, the reason why you're not taking action is because of the way that you're feeling at the moment. Your fears, your anxiety, you're looking into the future, whatever you've been programmed to feel a certain way. You mentioned the word suffering. So again, now all you're doing is giving me excuses. My ancestors, and it's not that I don't relate to everything you're saying, because I do. So you're not going to win me over because like, oh my God, things are so bad for you. I promise you that whatever you think you've gone through, there's a very good chance I went through much worse. Okay? Just to give you an idea, nobody from my family survived their suffering. None of them survived. Not my mother, not my father, not my sister, not my brother. I could go into detail. I'm the only one out of my family that was able to pull myself together and create a life for myself and learn how to be happy. So the problem that people have is learning how to have uncomfortable feelings and taking action in spite of them. It's called contrary action, doing the exact opposite of everything your fears and your anxiety are telling you. My ancestors, the Norse, had a life philosophy which Christianity came in and destroyed. But before Christianity came in, my ancestors would say those who died in battle went to Valhalla. They never said those who got over all of their suffering and their pain and their fear and their anxiety, and then when they felt like it, went into battle, went to Valhalla. No, they said those who died in battle. It meant that you gave everything. And what happens? You know what happens to the majority of people back then, before they went into battle? They peed their pants. They crapped their pants. They were so scared. So the assumption that modern people have is they have to feel okay before they do anything. Or I have to have enough money before I go buy something. And again, Poppy, I'm sorry, but $55 is nothing. Is nothing. So unless you're homeless or 12 years old and living with your parents, there's almost no excuse for it. You have, obviously, I know you got a phone, you got internet, you got a computer, you're on, you've got some income coming from somewhere. So the question isn't, I can't do it. The question is, how do I get what I want? And then you go get it. All right? So, you can start with the book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. Let's see what else. And you don't need to, Poppy, you don't need to explain yourself to me, because there's no amount of explaining that's going to change my thoughts about this. Another thing that's good to do with teachers is to shut up and listen. Students make the mistake, I know, because I was a student. Teacher would be doing what I'm doing, would be lecturing me, and everything inside of me would be going, yeah, but you don't understand. Yeah, but I learned just to shut my mouth and listen. When you ask a question, shut your mouth and listen. You don't have to like what you hear, but listen to it. All right, what else? Okay, that's not a question. Fisher Life says, I barely have any money yet. Yeah, I know. You already told me you don't like working. And I said, it sounds like, this was a long time ago, and I said, it sounds like you don't have a job because you don't need to have one. And you said, that's right. You don't have any money because you're not willing to do uncomfortable things to get it. I'm not whitewashing it. I know for you how challenging it would be. But do you want something better? You're going to have to first allow yourself to accept the idea of having something better and being willing to do whatever it takes to get it. Being willing to change. By the way, everything I'm saying may sound like I'm setting you up to really badmouth yourself. I'm not. Because in order to dig deep and do something different, you have to be willing to tolerate yourself in all of your imperfections. And people who are defensive and defend themselves, they're not comfortable. That's why they defend themselves. Yeah, but you don't understand. Well, it's because of this, or this is why, or this is, people do that all the time. No, you don't know what I was trying to say. They say that all the time to me. This is somebody who judges what they're thinking and feeling. And that self-judgment will keep you from taking action. When it's more important for people to tell you what you want to hear, or when it's more important for people not to think badly of you than it is to change and get the things you want, you're going to stay there. Got to be willing to be uncomfortable. That's the only way we grow. I mean, it's just when you go to the gym, you want to get bigger muscles. We know this. You got to lift weights, and it's got to burn, and then you're going to be sore for a couple of days. And when you're sore the next day, you don't go, oh my God. You go, all right, I'm going to be stronger. We know that. Life is the same way. You don't have any money, you don't have a job, and you don't want to get a job, whatever. You're not willing to spend what little money you have. Here's the other thing. You have a small amount of money and there's something you want to spend 55 bucks on a membership, but you've only got a small amount of money. Guess what happens when you spend that 55 bucks? You now have a reason to really go out and get some more money. I do it all the time. I constantly put myself beyond my limitations. I'll tell you, one of the first times that I got a place to live that I really loved, I was broke as hell. I had just gotten out of a marriage where I was a house husband, and I lost everything in that divorce, lost everything. I had the clothes on my back in my car, and that was it. And I was living in Carson, California, right by the university there. It's South Central LA. And I was living in somebody's backyard, little house that they had in their backyard. And if I wanted to go surfing, I had to go drive 45 minutes to the beach I wanted to surf. I didn't know, I was just starting this channel. I didn't know where my money was going to come from. But I went down surfing one day, and there was this house right along the beach. And I started doing the thing that I normally done, which is I started thinking, I got to find some place I can afford. And I stopped myself and I said, I'm not going to do that. I said, okay, let's just pretend that I don't have to worry about anything. Let's see, where would I live? I'd live right there. And guess what happened? Next week, I saw that that place was for rent. And it was totally beyond what I could afford. So guess what I did? I walked up, knocked on the door. This was back, wasn't too long ago, but it wasn't. Anyway, the landlord was there, and I said, I'd like to rent the place. And he goes, okay, fill out the application. I think I may have even lied on the application. I'm not suggesting that, but I think I might have. And he got back to me and he said, what's with your credit? I said, oh, whatever, I don't care. He said, you can move in. I just need X amount of money by such and such time. Well, it turns out that right after that, this is sad, but my mom died, and just enough money came into my bank account so I could pay the security deposit in the first month's rent. I was living in that house right on the beach that I couldn't afford. And then, do you know what happened right after that? All of a sudden, I started getting clients coming out of nowhere, getting readings, and my channel started taking off. Now, if I had done what some of you guys are doing, if I had gone, okay, I don't have this and I don't have that, and I can't do this and I can't do that, you are giving the universe a very clear message. You are telling the universe, number one, that you don't deserve money or resources, and that you don't deserve to have what you want. Now, the matrix, the universe is going, okay, I have a different opinion, but I'm going to respect where you're at. But when you take action that goes beyond what you have been programmed to believe about yourself, what your circumstances are telling you, and what is opposite of your fears, when you take bold action, in other words, just for example, you go and get the 55 bucks membership, you're sending a message to the universe saying, I'm going to get what I want. The universe goes, oh, cool. Hey, let's get that guy some more money. Let's get him a job. We've got it backwards. You don't wait for stuff to come to you, and then when you have enough, you go do it. You go do it, and the stuff will come to you. Okay, whatever. Let's see. What now? Okay. Very good. Okay, those aren't questions. Again, Fisher Life, you don't have to defend yourself. Every time that you're typing and defending yourself, you're not listening to me. Listen to what a teacher says, even if it's hard to hear. Zip it and listen. Because none of what you've said has changed my opinion about you, nor has it given you any more money. And it's not about what you've done in the past. You say you've spent money on your services. Yeah, in the past. But you started out by saying, I want that thing. And I don't have the money for that thing. So that's what's important. What are you going to do to go get that? What are you going to do to make that happen? All right, Poppy. Yeah, thank you again. I don't need you to defend yourself, but or explain yourself. I understand. So there's no more questions. You guys tired of listening to me pontificate? Because I'm tired of hearing it. I'll give it a little more time, see if there are any more questions. By the way, what I'm talking about right now has everything to do with shifting to 5D, even though there's no money in 5D. The deeper that we go, just let me set the stage for what's really happening. What's happening is that we're shifting to another dimension. And let me, again, hopefully you know what I'm talking about. Dimension is not, people use the word dimension and what they mean is alternate 3D universe. They do it in movies all the time. Somebody will fly through something, and then there will be, some different Earth, and they'll go, oh, we passed into a different dimension. No, you're still in the third dimension. How do I know that? Because you can only go up, down, left, right, backwards, and forwards. That's the third dimension. So if somebody says, I'm in an alternate dimension, there has to be a whole other direction that they can go that we can't comprehend. That's a different dimension. This is where we're moving towards. Now, whether we're going to go into another dimension or not, I don't know. I suspect that is possibly what we will need to do. So when we go to a higher dimension, the next one, the fourth dimension, people have speculated that the fourth dimension, it'll be the same as it is now, backwards and forwards, left and right, up and down. Those are the three dimensions. We live in a box. The fourth dimension is the direction that goes up and forward and down and back. And you think you know what that is, but the truth is there's no way you can. Any more than somebody who lives in two dimensions knows what up or down is. There's no way they can comprehend it. We can't comprehend this fourth dimension, but it's there. And when you shift up just one dimension, the energy, like the electromagnetic energy, increases exponentially. The emotions increase exponentially. And your mind, its ability to think increases exponentially. Now, the result of that is that you are going to go through a death if that happens. I know a whole other story, but when I left my body and I went to what people call the light, the source, God, whatever, and I had this experience as I was entering that, and I was shifting into higher dimensions, like actual higher dimensions, not just like, higher frequencies. And in that moment, as I was shifting, what felt like the first couple of seconds, it was frightening. It was too intense. I thought I was dying. But then it became orgasmic and I exploded into a higher realm of being. So as we shift to this next dimension, we're going to go through that period of the energy is going to feel like it's too much, and the symptoms of that you've seen if you've watched the channel. There have been people who have left the channel and who have, left parting shots at me on their way out. These are people who have done nothing but helped. And out of nowhere, they just turned around and attacked me. You might not know, because people like that, I will delete their comments and block them. But I know what happened in those cases. Those are people who were moving forward, and the feeling of dying to themselves was too painful. They couldn't tolerate the feeling. So all of the bliss and all of the beauty and all of the things that were happening, we're going to have to learn how to tolerate it. So main thing to know here, learn how to tolerate feelings that you think are going to destroy you. Another thing I want to say, I'm going to say this to Poppy as well as Fisher Life, is to go onto my channel and do for free the 12 steps to 5D. Do those. Those things will help you and give you the ability to tolerate uncomfortable feelings while taking actions that are making you even more frightened and uncomfortable. All right, Poppy has a question. Let's see. When do you think we will get there? I don't know. Is it coming close? I don't know. I feel like things have been shifting fast lately, but maybe it's unrelated to 5D. Okay, so to answer your question, I don't know. That's it. There's nothing left to say. So the light beings, I come kind of understanding what they say. When I've asked them in the past, I don't ask them this anymore, but I've asked them, when is the shift going to come? And they always have the same answer. They say, when you decide. So the way that you know that you can bring 5D closer is to go, what is the thing I'm most afraid of? And then go do that thing. Getting the job, buying the thing, renting an apartment, asking that girl out. The one thing that you're most afraid of, the thing that you're making excuses about. Well, I can't do that right now because I don't have a job, I don't have money. Those are excuses keeping you from taking actions that you're afraid of taking. Whatever the heck that is, do it. That will get you closer to 5D. So again, when is it coming? It's not coming. We're creating it, is the other one. So Poppy, I encourage you to watch more of my videos because I've been talking about that. It comes when we create it. The live guided interdimensional meditations we do every Wednesday and Saturday, we're making it when we do those meditations. So it's going to happen when we're willing to make it happen. All right, is that it? Okay, we're all done. I think we're all done. Again, this is why I don't like doing question and answers, because I end up frustrated. Because I really don't like lecturing, but sometimes it's helpful. Anyway, all right, there it is, my friends. I wish you guys all the best. So you know what to do. You're serious about doing it. First off, let me talk to the people who have done all of the 5 elements. If you have the 5 element spirit fighting, then I strongly recommend, if you really want to learn from me, I strongly recommend that you subscribe to the Mao Shan level 1 videos. Where are they? Mao Shan level 1 instructional videos. I'm going to be uploading more and more videos. Again, I'm flabbergasted. There are people out there that have the 5 elements and they haven't subscribed. Flabbergasted. It's an unbelievable waste. The stuff that I'm going to be teaching is going to be, this is the stuff that I learned in classes that gave me the power. I'm going to teach all that. So do that if you've done the 5 elements. If you haven't done the 5 elements, do them, get them. And then I want people in those level 1 classes. Then we can start really doing things. Then we can start having other kinds of classes, other kinds of seminars. We can really start to learn. So I'm ready to teach it, but you guys got to show me that you're serious about it. And then I will trust me, once I have that, I will put everything into it. And you will not be wishing there was more. You'll be like, this is enough. I will give you far more than you can handle. And yeah, all right, that's it, guys. I wish you guys all of the best, and I will see you all very soon. Please take very good care of yourselves.